Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video we will be seeing the 6th chapter, which is life process. First we will be knowing about the title, which is life process. So it's the process essential for sustaining life by living organisms. So we will be seeing about nutrition in this part 1 video. So what's nutrition? So it's the process in which organisms takes in food and utilizes it. According to that, the organisms need energy to perform and the raw materials for growth and repair. And these raw materials are provided by the nutrients. And there are two modes of nutrition. The first one is autotrophic nutrition and the second one is heterotrophic nutrition. Now let's see them one by one. The first one is autotrophic nutrition. Here the organisms prepares their own food. They use simple food material obtained from inorganic sources and make their own food. Example of autotrophic nutrition are green plants, bacteria and blue-green algae. So the organisms which carry out autotrophic nutrition are called as autotrophs. In plants, they take carbon dioxide and water and convert into carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. And this process is called as photosynthesis. And here the carbohydrates are utilized for providing energy to the plant. And the carbohydrates which are not used are stored in the form of starch, which serves as the internal energy reserve. Now let's see the process of photosynthesis. The first one is absorption of light energy by chlorophyll, and then conversion of light energy to chemical energy, and splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, and then reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. And we can write this in an equation, which is CO2 plus H2O in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives out C6H12O6 plus O2 plus H2O. And then the raw materials for photosynthesis are the water and the carbon dioxide. So the question may be asked in the exam to write the raw materials in photosynthesis, and you can write it as water and carbon dioxide. And a question may arise in your mind, and that is, how does the plant obtain carbon dioxide and water? And now let's see them one by one. So the plants obtain carbon dioxide through stomata, which are the tiny pores present in the surface of the leaves. And the plant closes the stomatal pores when it does not need carbon dioxide. And the opening and closing of the stomatal pore is a function of the guard cell. This stomatal pore opens when the guard cell swells, and this stomatal pore closes when the guard cell shrinks. And how does plant obtain water? So it's very easy, and you can write it as the water is taken up from the roots of the plant. And then other materials like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium are also taken up from the soil. So if you take nitrogen, it is very useful for the synthesis of proteins. And that's it for autotrophic nutrition. Now let's move to the next topic, which is heterotrophic nutrition. In heterotrophic nutrition, the organisms utilize complex substances, and these complex substances are broken down into simpler ones, and the examples are animals and fungi. Now let's see the nutrition in amoeba. Amoeba is a unicellular organism, as you all know, and it takes in food using a temporary finger-like extension of the cell, which is pseudopodia. So these pseudopodia fuse over a food particle and forms a food vacuole, and the complex substances are broken into simpler ones inside the food vacuole. The remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. Hope you guys understood the nutrition taking place in amoeba. And now let's move to nutrition in human beings. Nutrition in human beings. As you all know, the human digestive system is composed of an alimentary canal, and the alimentary canal is divided into esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. And now let's see about them in detail. And starting from mouth, the food enters through the mouth, as you all know, and then the mouth contains teeth, saliva and tongue. And what these does, let's see them one by one. So the teeth breaks down the food into smaller particles, and the saliva contains an enzyme which is salivary amylase. So this salivary amylase breaks the starch into simple sugar, and then the food is mixed with saliva with the help of the tongue. And then from mouth, the food is taken to the stomach through the esophagus. So here the peristaltic movement takes place, and it is nothing but the lining of canal has muscles that helps in contraction and relaxation, and then it pushes the food forward. And then moving to stomach. The stomach is a large organ which expands when food enters it, and the gastric glands present in the wall of the stomach helps in digestion. These gastric glands secrete hydrochloric acid, mucus and pepsin. Let's see them in detail in the next slide. Hydrochloric acid. So the hydrochloric acid creates an acidic medium for the enzymes to act on the food and to work. And the hydrochloric acid kills the microorganisms present in the food. Mucus. So the mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from getting damaged from the secretions of hydrochloric acid. Pepsin. The pepsin acts on proteins and breaks down into amino acids. Hope you understand the functions of hydrochloric acid, mucus and pepsin. And now let's move to the next one, which is small intestine. The exit of food from the stomach is regulated by a sphincter muscle. From stomach, the food enters the small intestine, which is the longest part of the alimentary canal. And it is the site where complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins and fats takes place. And it receives the secretions from liver and pancreas. Here you need to know about the length of the small intestine in herbivorous and carnivorous. In herbivorous, eating grass needs a longer small intestine to allow the cellulose to be digested. An example for carnivorous is tigers, and they eat meat. So the meat is easier to digest. So they have a shorter small intestine. And a question may be asked in your exam about the length of the small intestine in carnivorous and herbivorous. Now let's see the secretions of liver. So the liver secretes bile juice and it acts on the fats. And these fats are present in the form of large globules, which makes it difficult for enzymes to act upon it. So the bile salts break the large globules into small globules. And this is known as emulsification of fats. Now you may ask, what is emulsification? It's just a process of breaking down the fats into small blood cells, which makes it easy for the enzymes to act upon the digested food. Now let's see the secretions of pancreas. The pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, and pancreatic juice contains the following enzymes, which are trypsin, lipase and pancreatic amylase. So now let's see their function one by one. Trypsin. It would digest proteins and convert proteins into amino acid. Lipase. It would break down the emulsified fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Pancreatic amylase. So the function of pancreatic amylase is to break down complex carbohydrates into glucose, which is the simple sugar. Now let's see the absorption, which is taking place in the walls of the intestine. The digested food is taken up by the walls of the intestine, and the inner lining of the small intestine has numerous finger-like projections called villi, and it increases the surface area for absorption. And it also contains numerous blood vessels. The villi takes the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body, and it is utilized for obtaining energy, building up new tissues and repair of old tissues. And then what's left out? It's the unabsorbed food. And now let's see what happens to the unabsorbed food. So the unabsorbed food is sent to the larger intestine, and the walls of the larger intestine absorbs more water from this material. and the rest of the material is removed from the body via the anus. Now it's question time, and please do post your answers in the comment section. And the first question is, which is the longest part of the alimentary canal? And the second one is, name the secretions of stomach. And the third question is, where does the absorption of food takes place?